Like I've said a bunch, football season is extremely fun, and if and when the Vikings actually do make a Super Bowl and win one in my lifetime, I'm sure that will be a hoot as well. But off season for me, man, is where it's at. Notably this time, as we're getting into BS season, trades, free agency, and the draft, and man. The rumors around the Vikings trading Kirk Cousins, maybe Danielle Hunter, they're certainly out there. They're certainly thick. THICC. Pro Football Focus did up a list of 15 potential trades and the ramifications. And the Vikings, they had 3 of them. So the Vikings making up 20% of this list. It includes Kirk Cousins, Danielle Hunter, as well as Garrett Bradbury. Let's dive on in. So the first one is the obvious one, but the Vikings trading Kirk Cousins to the Panthers, who, like we mentioned, Judd Zulgad has like, hey, Carolina called, blah, blah, blah. So the terms, Panthers send a 2022 first, number 6 overall, as well as a 2023 second. The Vikings have $10 million in dead money, freeing up $35 million in cap space, and the Panthers get a 1-year, $35 million guaranteed deal, only $35 million dead on their cap for this season because they got to try and win games. And the whole thing about this article is that they hype up Ben McAdoo, which now, the Panthers have made a lot of changes already this offseason, most notably, blah, 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 McAdoo, yada, 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 da, 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 da. He did good things with Gardner Minshew. Well, maybe because Gardner Minshew's awesome. How about that? The hope is that he can cater this offense to his quarterback skill set, while his up-tempo West Coast style offense with the quarterbacks and shotgun has not been one that Kirk Cousins excels in. Oh, so that's just going to work out swimmingly. It's going to be great. May have led to former Vikings offensive coordinator John DeFilippo's firing. Yes, it did. Perhaps McAdoo can make it work this year. Make some tweaks. Make it work. From Minnesota's perspective, new GM Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and new head coach Kevin O'Connell start fresh, working through a down 2022 season while building around phenom wide receiver Justin Jefferson. Carolina gave up most of his draft capital for Sam Darnold, blah, blah, blah. I would be worried because next season is the midpoint of Justin Jefferson's rookie deal, 4 years plus a 5th-year option. And he's already done good things with Kirk Cousins. And having a down year intentionally, even though we've talked about taking a small step back to make a big leap forward, I don't know. Because it's all fun and games until the Vikings trade Kirk Cousins, they draft a rookie quarterback who's not ready, and then they have a bridge quarterback in Mitchell Trubisky-Ponder. Like, it's all fun and games until that happens. So, I don't know. It's like we forget about quarterback purgatory. We forget about the T-Jacks and the Brooks Bollingers and the Christian Ponders and the Matt Castles and the Donovan Fatnabs of the world. Like, we just forget all that. Even though Kirk is the perfectly safe dude. Like, he's just we've used this analogy before. He's the 45-year-old CPA, brings down $250 a year. He's kind of boring. He's kind of dull. He's kind of a goober, but he's like, all right. We could probably do better, but you could do a whole lot worse. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. I don't know about this one, but if you do get number 6 overall, the Vikings would be sitting pretty. They would have 6 and 12. So they could move up if they wanted to. They could move back if they wanted to, for certain. So, and they could, at 6, they would probably have their choice of the QBs in this draft, because I don't think any one of them is breaking the top 5, and they're ahead of quarterback needy teams, potentially Denver, etc., in the pecking order. So they could land a Malik Willis or a Kenny Pickett or whatever. So it would be tempting. Like, if it's just that first, maybe not. But the fact that they're coming up with the 2023 second as well, it would be enticing. It would be. Well, do all that and then sign Mariota. Do it. Just do it. Then, who is next? I think it's Danielle's next. Oh, no, it's Bradbury next. Wow. So the Rams are probably going to lose Brian Allen in free agency. He's going to get paid, son. And I mean, if you can get anything for Garrett Bradbury, I would be pretty pumped. The terms of this trade: Rams said edge defender Justin Hollins, who I loved coming out of Oregon. Let's go. As well as a 2022 7th-round pick that they got from the Dolphins. I would be okay with that. Hell, I would be okay just with the 7th-round pick, just to free up a little bit of cap space. So the Vikings have $1.8 million dead, and then the Rams pick up a 1-year, $2.25 million contract. So the Vikings free up a little bit of cap space, and they flip Bradbury, who, I mean, sure, he could compete with Chris Cooper, new O-line coach, as well as the new offensive scheme coming in. But I don't know. I don't know. I think the book has already been written. Bradbury's had a rough start to his career after the Vikings drafted him in the first round 2019, even though he stepped in as starter under center from day one. Through 3 seasons, he has yet to earn a season-long pass blocking grade of 45 or better, and he's allowed at least 25 quarterback pressures each year. Bradbury, blah, 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 blah. Deals akin to the Bengals trading former first-round pick Billy Price to the Giants for interior defender B.J. Hill, yada, yada, yada. Rams center Brian Ellison is slated to be a free agent this offseason, and with the Rams, a lot of Ram players need to do contracts. Staying cheap at center with a proven scheme fit in the run game could be a necessary gamble. And that could potentially be a reason why the Vikings do keep Garrett Bradbury, is that the scheme coming over, the Rams and Sean McVay and Kevin O'Connell, they ran a lot of outside zone there. They'll probably keep it very copacetic here with the Vikings. But the problem with Bradbury isn't him in the run game. That's the best part of his game. The problem is anchoring one-on-one against man-sized nose tackles and 3-techs, and that's always been the issue. And I don't really see that changing anytime soon. So if you can get a potential edge defender, and Justin Hollins, like we mentioned, the Vikings moving to a 3-4 or an odd-numbered front, Hollins would be a great as a stand-up outside linebacker and getting after the passer. Plus, you pick up a little something, and you free up some cap space. Yes, yeah, I would be. This one is more of a slam dunk than even the Kirk Cousins trade, even though the Cousins trade is pretty nice. You like it the juice, huh? Last one. So I'm not down with this one. I just ain't. But the Vikings trade Danielle Hunter to the Buffalo Bills. I mean, sure. Brandon Beane just finessing the Vikings again, even though the last trade that we did with the Bills worked out pretty well. The Bills send a 2023 second and a 2022 fourth round pick. Vikings dead money 11.48, but also they free up a bunch, and presumably they would do this before the $18 million roster bonus, which Danielle is due. It's either the 3rd or 5th day in the new league year. Whatever. Bills inherit 2 years, $25.5 million. One of the more complicated contractual situations the NFL will play out between the Vikings star edge defender Danielle Hunter. Hunter was justifiably unhappy with his contract heading into 2021, but was also coming off a season-ending injury, so both sides elected to punt the decision to 2022. Kwesi, new GM Kwesi now has to navigate a tricky situation with the March deadline quickly approaching when Hunter's $18 million roster bonus is due. Roster bonus is at a blah, 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 blah. Basically, it was added so the Vikings have an S or get off the pot moment, and that's what was appealing for Hunter's agent and him. Hunter will still be just 27 years old, week 1, 2022, and is a force multiplier on any defense. The Bills used their first and second round picks in 2021 on edge defenders, Gregory Rousseau, as well as Boogie Basham, but all 3 players can kick inside and line up opposing guards. That would be gross. That would be gross. Also, they have Epinesa as well. Last but not least, reunion with former Vikings wide receiver Stephon Diggs could help ease the transition for Hunter. Yeah, that'll do it. Sure. Now, I'm not down for this for a couple reasons. Number one, Danielle, he proved that the neck is not an issue. And if the neck was an issue, this would be a non-starter for pretty much everyone. I think Danielle might be out of the league. And a lot of people equate, well, he's injury prone now, even though I don't know if he missed a game beforehand, but the neck was the issue. Blowing out the pec, that could happen to anyone at any time. That happened to Eric Weddle in the Super Bowl, right? So I think that's just poop-ass luck. And if it was something involving the neck, then yes, we would talk about that. But Danielle proved that he is still an elite edge rusher, and he's great against the run. And even though the Vikings are moving to an odd front in most situations, he can be a stand-up guy like he was at LSU. He can still obviously put his hand in the dirt. He can play 5-tech. He can play wide 9. He can play 7. He can do all those things, right? So I'm not ready to give up on a top-tier edge rusher who's still firmly in his prime. I want to give him a new contract. I want things to work out, and I'm certainly not giving him up for a second this year and a fourth this year and a second next year. No. Now, if they come back with a first and a second, or a first and a third and some change, then maybe we talk. I mean, then maybe we have a conversation. But Kwesi, his stops in Cleveland with Myles Garrett, his stops in San Francisco with Bosa, like, he's seen how a game-changing edge rusher can just completely flip the script. And I don't think that he wants to give up on Danielle so cheaply because of concerns like, oh, well, what if he's injury prone because of the pec, which had nothing to do with the neck at all. But so this one is by far my least favorite. I would do the Bradbury trade now. I mean, if they offered that, I would just do it right now. And then Kirk, I don't know, man. Like, flip a coin on this Kirk one. If they made it 2 firsts, which They might because, hey, Fritter and Matt Rule, if you get fired this year anyway, you're not going to be around to have those draft picks anyway. So if you make it 2 firsts, then I think it's a no-brainer. But I don't know, intentionally saying to the team and saying to Justin Jefferson, we're going to have a down year when this roster is so close. I don't know, man. But your thoughts are thoughts. Take a look at PFF's 3 outline trades involving Minnesota Vikings players. Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But until next time, Skol, production value.